Now there is another object as part of this couch. Remember that we have these legs at the bottom of the couch that need to be textured as well. We're not going to see a whole lot of them. We can probably use a pretty small texture. But we do need to get something on there. I'm thinking just a basic wood grain texture would be fine. So I'm just going to go out to Google and just see what I can find. So I think I'll just type in wood grain texture and see what I come up with. I'm going to go to images, and I'm going to go to search tools and size and large, just so I get a fairly good size texture. Now most of these are not going to be seamless, and that's fine. I don't really need a seamless texture for this. This looks kind of nice. Let me grab this one. Yeah, that looks good. I'll go to View Image, right-click, Save Image As, and I'll put this in my textures. Alright, so that's the one we're going to use. I'll go back to Blender now, and let's select the legs of the couch. I'll tab into Edit Mode, hit A to select everything, and there is our UV map. Let's go ahead and export this UV map out and take it into Photoshop. So I'll go to UVs, Export UV Layout. I don't need the size to be very big here, so I'll just choose 512. And I'll go ahead and take it into the proper folder. So here's my project folder, here's my textures. I've got my couch folder here, and in here I'll put couch legs underscore UVs, just so I know what it is. And now I'll go to Photoshop and open it up there. Here in Photoshop, I'll press Control or Command O and browse to that folder. Here it is, couch legs UVs, open. And here we go. I'll press Control or Command plus to zoom into it a bit. I will rename this layer UVs. And I'll go ahead and press Control or Command O to open that other file. So back in my textures folder over here, I've got that wood grain over here. Here it is. Yep, that's it. I'll open that up, and then I'll press Control or Command A, Control or Command C to copy it, and come back over here and press Control or Command V. And now that pastes that in. I'll zoom out with Command minus or Control minus as well. I'll take this layer and move it down below the UVs so we can see the UV map. And then I'll shrink this down by pressing Shift and click and drag. So I think probably I will zoom in with the Z key here. I think I can get away with this particular size for the texture. That's not bad. Actually, I think I'll just stretch it down just a bit so it covers these two. And then I'll press Alt Shift and I'll drag this down a bit and just put it right there. Alright, so there we have our UVs or our textures laid over our UVs. To clean it up a little, again, I can select that UVs layer, come over here to the Magic Wand tool or the W key, click anywhere outside the UVs, shift click anywhere that didn't get covered, looks like here and up here. There we go, maybe down here as well. Now that we've got all of that area selected, I'm going to contract it by going up to Select and Modify and Contract. And I'll contract it by 2 pixels. And that will spread it out just a little bit beyond the UVs so we don't cut anything off in there. And then I can select this one and hit Delete, and select this one and hit Delete. And now I can come in here and add a new layer. I'll click the New Layers button down here, drag it to the bottom, and I'll just choose a black color and that paint bucket and put a black color behind it. Turn off the UVs, and there is my color map for the couch legs. Let's save it out with Shift Alt Control or Command W. And I'll just export as a PNG. Export, and I'll call this couch legs underscore C. And there we go for color map. Now I'll go ahead and save this file here, Controller Command S, and I'll save this just as a PSD file, couch legs. There we go. So now, once again, we have everything in that folder, our PSD files, our UV map, and our final textures. So let's take this into Unity now. And I'll bring up a Finder window here, and here is my color map right here. I'll hit spacebar to open that up just so we can see that that's what that is. Good. I'll drag it down into Unity, into the Assets folder. I'll select that couch wood object, that is the couch legs right here, and I'll drag that couch legs color map into the albedo slot right here. And once again, when material comes in from Blender, it's going to be kind of gray, so I'm going to move that up to pure white. And there we go. So if we take a look at that, there they are. All right. And as I said, I don't think I need to worry too much about dirtying these up or doing any more to that. These are going to be in shadow, very small in the scene. I'm not too concerned about it. But we needed something there. All right, so now that we have all these textures in here, I'm going to go ahead and clean up just a little bit. I'm going to create a new folder by right-clicking the Assets window and choosing Create Folder. And let's just call this Textures. And I'll move these things down into that folder. There we go. Now we've got our models here, our materials here, and our textures here. All right, so let's go back to Blender and let's take a look at creating the walls of the room. Now that we have our couch, let's take a look at creating this room a little bit more, or at least blocking out the walls. So I'm going to tab back into object mode here and bring back these walls, the floor, and our scale. Now let's go take a look at that reference image that we initially looked at to get the general layout of the room. I'm thinking that the front door is going to be over here on the right side of the photo, and windows are going to be over here on the left. So let's see if we can block these walls in and kind of get a sense of what the space is. I'm going to take this couch. Let me go back to the layer that it's on, and I'm going to select everything, and I want to make it into a group so that I can just select that group easily and move the couch around without having to select each of the objects, the fabric and the wood. So I'm going to come over here to Object and come up to Group and create New Group, and you can also use Control-G. So I'm going to click that, and now we have a new group, and I'll come over here to the left and I'll name this. I'll just call it Couch. There we go. And now if you look, this new group does not appear over here in the outliner. This is everything we have in our scene, but it isn't here. That group isn't here to be selected. And that's an odd thing about Blender. You have to come up here to the All Scenes menu item and choose Groups to see your groups. So now I can select this couch and I can move it around as I need. So let me just move it around to one of the walls here. And I'm also going to bring back that scale item. So to slide it around on the floor, what I can do is I can press the G key and then I can press Shift Z, and that will ensure that I cannot move it in the Z axis up or down. So now I can slide it around on the floor wherever I want. So I'm going to move it over here a bit, kind of put it up against this wall to get a sense of how big this area is going to be. Let's go back to the reference image and take a look. So I'm thinking the couch is going to be right over here against this wall, but there's that door. I don't need to have that door open out. I could have that open in if I wanted. But let me just put that here against this wall like that, just to get a sense of that. Now it feels to me like this wall is about the size of that wall sticking out for the kitchen. I'm just going to temporarily put that here. And then I'm going to take this wall and maybe extend it. Let me hit the Tab key to go to Edit Mode, Control Tab, and choose Face. And then I'll hit the Z key so I can see the wireframe. I just want to pull this out. Let me pull that out about to here. Maybe this will be the kitchen. Okay. and hit the Z key again to go back to solid view. And I'll take this wall and I'll duplicate it with Shift D and then hit the Y key to only move it in the Y axis. Come out here, so I'm kind of blocking out the kitchen here. All right. Now I'm going to take this wall, Shift D to duplicate, hit the X key to make sure it's going to only move in the X axis, and I'll move this over here. Maybe something like that. So I'm kind of just getting a sense of, is this how big I want the place to be? I feel like this is a little too much room, like I don't want this much room. So I'm going to move this way, and I'm going to move this way. Now there's really no wrong answer here. It's really up to you how you want your environment to be. I'm just trying to get a sense of how to fill the space. So let me clean this up a little bit. I'm just going to select this and move this face back into here, and I'll select something like this and move this in just to kind of clean it up a little bit. All right, so in the next video what let's do is work on cleaning up the walls. We'll create the baseboards for them, we'll UV map them, and we'll bring them into Unity and see how it looks there.